whether it's on social media or what you're doing, just finding your metric of success or your sort of definition of authenticity and so on, right? Now is the time to own it.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
Welcome to the Dream Big and Think Different podcast, where we inspire, impact, and empower.
Progress is impossible if you always do things the way you have always done things.
It's time to dream big. Here's your host, Dr. Sachin Maskey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dream Big and Think Different podcast, where our mission is to inspire, impact, and empower millions of people. I'm your host, Dr. Sachin Maskey, and today we have a very special guest who is another dreamer, Preeti Adhikary, all the way from New Jersey, and has a very, very inspiring story. And since he's trying to actually make a massive disruption with an impact with the connection, collaboration with the exceptional global Nepali community around the world that we all need to hear and learn. I'm very honored and super excited today and very thrilled to have Preeti in our podcast. Thank you for coming and welcome to Dream Big and Think Different podcast.
Thank you, Sachin. I'm so excited to be here.
Same here. Preeti, you must be super busy. I know you just came from Nepal a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to I guess start with your formal bio, and then we're going to talk about our main topic today will be journey of the great Nepali diaspora with Preeti, success and challenges. So Preeti Adhikary is the founder of the Great Nepali Diaspora, which is about 2,000 plus community of exceptional global Nepali talent that aims to nurture connection, collaboration, and camaraderie. In less than a year, I guess, almost 1 year, this community has expanded to 50 chapters around the world and caters to industry through 14 career tracks and interest group. TGND has 2 cohorts in Nepal Venture Studio, incubator, and 1 cohort non-technical entrepreneurship, and has connected entrepreneurs from Nepal to investment, resources, and mentorship. She is building a fund to support underrepresented founders. Preeti also holds a Master of Advanced Management from Yale School of Management and an MBA from University of British Columbia. Before Yale, Preeti was a VP of Marketing Operation of the Fuse Machine AI company startup. Basically, it's on, I guess, right now in the public market already.
No, it's going to be very soon.
Yeah, IPO in New York City. With over 17 years of diverse experience in tech, startup, banking, and nonprofit, Preeti is passionate about creating, supporting community-driven ventures that has positive social and economic impact. With that, I would like to welcome again in the show. My first question to Preeti is my standard question: who is Preeti and why she's in the world?
Thank you, Sachin. I wish I had a very special, tagline for this, but I don't. So Preeti Pandey Adhikary is trying to figure out who she is and why she's here. But I think, I'm having a lot of fun while I'm figuring that out. What I've realized over time throughout my career and throughout my journey is I love connecting. I am a connector and I love people. So I always wanted to do something with that. So I think, the Great Nepali Diaspora is a fusion of everything that I'm passionate about.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. I was just want a backstory how we met. So I did an interview with Nick Koirala for Koirala Capital,
Right.
and he's a very good friend of mine. And I when I did a podcast with him, he told me there's an amazing human being. You need to connect with her and bring her to the podcast. And I was looking in your LinkedIn profile, and I immediately sent a message, and I think you get back to me. We got
Right.
connected WhatsApp. So yeah, it's been a few months. I've been kind of trying to get her in the show, but finally we're here, and we need to hear more about your story again. So this is Dream Big and Think Different podcast. So I really wanted to know about your, I guess, childhood, going back to wherever you can, and tell me more about what was your dream at that time, and how, and more about your story.
Sure. So if you look at my career and everything, it's a mixed bag. I've been a part of so many different industries, lived in so many countries and so on. To go back to my childhood, I think, if I can remember, I always wanted to be a doctor.
Oh, really? Okay.
Typically, even to be specific, an army doctor.
Oh, wow.
Always wanted to do that. I think I pursued that till A level. So, was studying biology and everything. So I thought I would uh, go to medical school and all of that. I remember
This is all in Nepal,
all
right?
this is all in Nepal, or high
Yeah,
school in
yeah, yeah.
Nepal, all of that. That sort of was, I thought that was going to be the trajectory of my life. I remember not really enjoying it in high school. Like you have some feeling, right? I mean, there were parts I loved and some parts I didn't, right? So it was one of those things. But
Hmm.
growing up, we don't really know what that is, right? We don't know what sort of, that you
Absolutely.
can sort of be different than what you thought and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of things on the personal end changed, and I actually did my undergrad in the US.
Okay.
So
And
completely different, came to Tennessee.
oh, wow.
So, very drastic change. And, tried different things, figured out what I wanted to be. Remember, majored in economics there, so joined banking and all of it. And I think over time, since then, since undergrad, it's been a lot of trying different industries, figuring out, what I like, what I don't like, and so on. And
Sure.
to bring it back to what I'm doing now, I think it's been so helpful, right? You would think that having a non-linear career is, a disadvantage, right? You do want
Hmm.
people to be focused in whatever they're doing. Um,
Absolutely.
but because I'm trying to bring a diverse set of people together, the fact that I've been in banking, the fact that I've been in startups and nonprofits, it means that I can relate to people that are there, right? So I know what sort of maybe drives people or what are the needs of these people, and sort of it helps to bring a community. So in a weird way, my non-linear career or my unfulfilled childhood dream is still fine.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I believe you went to, so the when you went to from Nepal to US, I believe, well, I heard or somewhere my wife was telling me about you that you went to some different countries besides US. Can you share
Yes.
that a little bit?
Sure, sure. So, yeah, I actually went back to Nepal for a few years
Okay.
after graduation. Lived in Nepal for 5 years,
Okay.
and then for my master's, for my MBA, went to Canada, University of
Okay,
British
Canada.
Columbia, and then moved to Singapore for 5 years.
Oh,
Moved to
wow.
Nepal for about a year, and then came to the US. So it's been quite a
Wow.
journey.
Yeah, amazing. How was Singapore? That must
I
be
loved
different.
it. One of my favorite places. I think proximity to Nepal was one of the best things. But I think Singapore is a place where anybody could just go and fit right in, right? Because it's such a mix of people and cultures and everything. So loved my experience.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. So I guess that's amazing, and a lot of experience just by hearing your different country, different culture, and that brings the strength, ultimately,
Right.
and that's amazing. So my next question, I just want to go over the questions, and then we can talk more. But I like to ask this all dreamers about what kind of like who and what inspires you and drives you to be productive every day. Is there anybody you can relate to?
Um, well, I do think I am very self-motivated. I'm very disciplined. I'm very organized. I've always been, I think, especially, my adult life, since, undergrad, I think, I always have a schedule, right? Even if I'm, on a break or whatever, I always have a schedule. I always have things to do. It's a little, it's really annoying for my family. They don't like it, but I always like, have that, right? So
Absolutely.
with that, being productive, or having that set schedule, and all of that, I think it sort of comes internally as well. But for
Hmm.
now, I think also there's because I could be doing so many other things in life, but I'm, you know intentionally, unintentionally, I'm right here trying to build this. So there's this added pressure that I need to make this work,
Hmm.
right? Or in all senses, right? I need to make sure that this dream, in your language,
Hmm.
really becomes a full-fledged vision, like full-fledged reality, right? And I think that's one. And I think also what's really really exciting is I see this amazing demand from the community, this amazing energy from everybody I talk
Hmm.
to, people I know as well as strangers. So that
Absolutely.
gives me a lot of this boost of confidence and energy to keep on going.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I like what you just said about discipline. I think that's the key word to
Yeah,
everything in life, and
right.
because
And
we
I'm
all have,
sure Sachin, exactly,
yeah,
Sachin. I'm sure you're sort of, you understand that as well in terms of, choosing different paths and, making them work. It
absolutely.
needs a lot of
Yeah, I'm
discipline.
also like the funny thing is like sometimes the family gets annoyed too. The same here. I have like morning routines and something called family board meeting. We have those kind of things.
Um,
So that's amazing. So anyway, so next question for you. We're gonna dive into the main topic today, the journey of the Great Nepali Diaspora with you and success and challenges.
right.
I would like to start with you. How and why did you begin this journey?
With the Greater Pali Diaspora.
Yes, yeah.
Sure. I mean, I, I think it's not a completely new idea. I think, there is something that all of us have felt, and such, and especially you as well, in terms of, we're away from our home country, so to speak, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
our struggles, we figure out life, we study, we work, figure out what we want to do in life. But it's and over time we're successful in our own different ways, right? But I
Yeah,
think I've always felt like our community is so connected on a social level. We have fun, we just meet people, we love our friends and family, but we don't really talk about professional aspirations or how we can really help each other, right? We're not very intentional about it, right? Especially if
absolutely.
things are just a little outside the box, right? When you think about entrepreneurship or things that are not just 9 to 5, we don't do that, right? We don't really ask others how we can help them. We don't really talk about challenges in our even balancing our personal or professional life, and so on, those kind of things, right? So for me, I always felt like uh,
Mm-hmm.
by just not having those conversations, by not being intentional, we were just, the relationships are just I don't want to call it shallow, but there's more that could be done, right?
Absolutely.
And I think just the biases that we hold in terms of how, especially with strangers, right? The fact that, other Nepalis are not really helpful, or, Nepalis just, do a lot of talking and not really, action. And it's, I think if you look at other communities as well, they have these biases as well, right? And it's, really sad that the communities like ourselves that
Mm-hmm.
really need to be really connected and help each other, we have these strong biases which are
Mm-hmm.
pushing us even down, right? Further down.
Absolutely.
In there's so much. There is this scarcity mentality that immigrants and minorities and all of us have, right?
Yeah.
Where we're like, oh my God, if I share my idea, somebody's going to take away, right? But
Mm-hmm.
how do we move towards expanding that pie, right? How do we
Right.
create win-win situations and all of that? So just these kind of things where I always felt as a student, as a working professional in the US, and at some point felt like, let's explore what that is. Let's explore, maybe instead of just pointing out problems, we can be a little bit more solution oriented. So this is my humble attempt to, be a part of the solution.
No, absolutely. That's amazing. You know, a couple of things you just mentioned. I really think it's important to like hear scarcity and intentional. That's a big word, you know. And if you have a dream and desire to do anything in life, I think anything is possible. So I salute you for what you're doing,
Thank you.
and you're doing amazing. I have a simple question, and I was, maybe people know already, but what is Nepali diaspora? If you can explain a little bit, like how many of them are here, like around the world. Maybe you have the
Sure,
data. I'm not.
sure.
Yeah.
So, Nepali diaspora, to put it simply, it's Nepalis that are outside Nepal, right?
Right.
Um, I mean, there is a more formal sort of definition to it where people should be outside Nepal for at least 2 years before they're
Mhm.
counted as diaspora and so on. But, even in terms of what I'm building, just to add, I am also trying to be super inclusive, right?
Yes.
Where, not just consider that formal definition, but also look at not just people that were maybe born in Nepal, but now we will have more and more second generation, third generation Nepalis. There will be a lot of people that have roots in Nepal that don't even know the language, or don't really,
Yeah.
are American Nepalis, or Nepali, British Nepalis, or whatever that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of again using the word intentional, really
Yeah.
think that there is a common thread, among all of us. Instead of just focusing on our differences, I'm trying to, I think, focus on our similarities, that one common thread, and then just trying to bring people together.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. So I believe the number wise, I think in US itself, as in 500,000
Yes,
Nepali
yes,
here.
that's the thing I've been hearing, 500, 600,000. And just to
Yeah.
add to that, there is no official record of that, right? There is
Right.
no place. And one of the initiatives that we've been working on, and I'm super proud of, and that we've actually spent a lot of time on, is the
Mm-hmm.
diaspora mapping survey, right? What we're
Mm-hmm.
hoping is, now we can own, these numbers, right? We are able to say, okay, we think there's 500,000, but actually maybe there's 850,000, right? And we also want to be able to say, the Nepali diaspora is spread in these places, are working on, are, techies and entrepreneurs and doctors and so on. And, I think it's so important for our diaspora overall to be also visible in the overall global landscape, right? I think we're not. We're such a, tiny country in the world that we are not really, really represented, right? So we're
Absolutely.
also trying to change that narrative in terms of, and really, I think that ownership of who we are is important.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with that. And I want to talk about. I was just thinking.
Sure.
I want to talk about your recent trip in Nepal,
Yes.
and you have like a lot of events there. And I think you talked to me in WhatsApp when you were in Nepal. And I just want to. Can you share what happened and
Sure.
what you were trying to
Sure.
message?
So basically, like we said, the diaspora does not really include people in Nepal, right?
Okay.
The common factor between for the diaspora is all of us in some way want to contribute to Nepal. That's like a given,
Absolutely.
right? All of us, people want to move back to Nepal. People want to do something. They want to do a business. There's some like the different, I
Yeah.
guess, a range of things. But you know,
First is an obligation. We are born there, right? It's a
exactly.
motherhood.
Exactly, that's
Yeah.
there. So even
Yeah.
if we actually, wherever our current home is, like the US or anywhere else in the home, we will always have that attachment, right? So always
Yes.
want to do something. What I've also really believed in is, step one for us has been to connect the diaspora, really uplift the diaspora, but also
Hmm.
find meaningful ways to contribute to Nepal, right? It can't
Right.
be this random thing of, okay, I'm good at this, I'm going to do this, right? It's, like, I think what's been the problem is people have always tried to contribute or help or go back to Nepal or a lot of different things, right? There hasn't been any transparency about that, right?
Hmm.
So there is no record of saying, oh, Sachin Maskey, a doctor and a real estate investor has, done this, or like, you know what I mean? There is obviously, like, it's fragmented. In terms
Absolutely.
of what I'm saying, right? What I'm trying to do is bring all of that sort of, almost like, I don't want to call it a dashboard, but, some visibility to everything that individual people and I think individual organizations have been doing. So
Yeah,
in terms
absolutely.
of the Nepal trip, trying to find those meaningful things that we could contribute to. There's three that I have sort of been focusing on. And so a lot of my activity in Nepal were focused on those three. So one is it's called the e-governance project. It's basically, there is a commission that falls under the Prime Minister's office. Dipesh ji sort of is the CEO, incredible leader. And so the government has been trying to work with different agencies and people to really, I guess, disrupt and transform
Hmm.
Nepal's, governance and everything, right? So on our end, what we've been really coordinating with is figuring out who are the technical experts in our diaspora from different countries, different sort of
Right.
skill sets, and how can we connect those people to this project. So,
Hmm.
had a few meetings and some wonderful discussions on that. There's a
That's
few
amazing.
other, so I think it's going to be super exciting to be a part of it. So one has been that. The second is, I think, entrepreneurship is such I really believe in an entrepreneurship, I do think that it can transform a society, like a community, a country, and so on. Um, so
Absolutely.
have always felt like, how do we map out Nepal's tech ecosystem, figure out what's happening, what's not happening, what are the gaps, and again, how do we fill those gaps?
Hmm.
So spent a lot of time hosting and attending a lot of events around
How many
that.
events can you do? That's what I heard, 80 or something, right? So, but like overall.
No, in Nepal it was a 2 week trip. I think I did maybe 15, 15
Wow.
just events, bigger events. And then I think one-on-one I probably met around the same number of people. So pretty hectic.
Yeah, so about
But
five events a month or something like that, right? Or more than that.
it was 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. 2 weeks, you have
So
done 15 events.
it
That's
was crazy. I wouldn't recommend it, but I think, it was also, really nice to know that, right? I think what was really, exciting for me is there is, a lot of people have heard about what I'm building, the Great Nepali
absolutely.
Diaspora. There's a lot of interest on that end as well, which is, even having people being receptive is so powerful, right? Which
Hmm.
means that, if we can make these connections, there's going to be, knowledge transfer or skills transfer on both ends, right? There's so much that we can learn from people that are doing incredible work in Nepal. So,
Absolutely.
so excited about it.
Yeah.
The last one was on women empowerment. I think I
Okay.
really believe in it. So needed. Whether it's mentorship, whether it's entrepreneurship, all of those things, Nepali women in general, I think, um, need that extra boost, I think.
Yeah. Totally agree.
So one thing that we did was we hosted one event, and there were 93 women that came. Can you believe
Wow.
it? 93. And it's like, oh, all sort of not just students, but, people at all levels, all industries, so much excitement, so much positive energy. And we're
Yeah.
now building, a lot of things on top of it, but, incredible energy for sure.
You're listening to the Dream Big and Think Different podcast with Dr. Sachin Maskey. Be sure to stop by sachinmaskeymd.com to download a free copy of Dr. Maskey's book.
I was just thinking about the events. We have one event coming up actually in May 4th, a gala dinner. and amount of energy, amount of time we spend is tremendous for just for one event. And I'm hearing you're doing 15 events in less than 2 weeks. I don't know how you can do it, but kudos to you and your team. I think there's a lot of team involved here for sure.
Of course. I mean,
And
I'm just the, face that a lot of people see. There is obviously a lot of people that are helping in so many ways. So
yes, yes, absolutely. And good luck. And again, we need to somehow, I mean, down in the road, possibly collaborate on something
of
together. I'm
course,
very
I
super excited.
definitely want to.
Yeah. And my other question is, can you share me, some success story or some kind of case study and what you have been doing so far?
Sure. So I'll talk about now we have about these 14, we call them hubs. So the way things work is TGND has this broad sort of
Hmm.
customer. No, I don't want to call it customer base, member base, right? So
Hmm.
it's students to retirees across all industries, But what we're doing is through hubs we're sort of going deep, right? So each hub,
Okay.
maybe it's a medical hub for doctors or PhD for
So 14
research.
hubs, you said, right?
Right,
14.
hubs, right?
Okay. Okay.
14, 1 4.
Okay.
So, that allows us to sort of build, mentorship programs and a lot of programs. One sort of success story that started with, as soon as we actually started TGND is Entrepreneurs Initiative, right? So
Yep.
it actually started off as a hub. So just one of, almost like one of those 14. It snowballed into so much more, right? So in a
Hmm.
year, so just as an example, we launched this incubator. We really wanted to contribute to, again, this really look at the entrepreneurial spirit of Nepalis. How do we sort of help them and so on? So we launched this virtual incubator. Got different teams from around the world, Nepali founders, connected them to mentors, experts, investors,
Hmm.
and then we just actually had our second cohort graduate from it. So it's so
Hmm.
really exciting. Within that time, we actually did a lot of pitch events where people were able to, get a lot of investment from the community. People found partners, people found deals, and now we're, moving from that to building a fund, right? So in a way, it is almost like a closed loop at this point, right? Uh,
Sure.
and for me, I think whether you want to consider it a pilot or not, it just shows that one sort of initiative, if you sort of follow through, you can sort
Hmm.
of make such an impact, right? And it can sort of take that leap from just getting a few people together to formalizing, an incubator or whatever you want to call it, and then just even being able to add capital on top of it, right? I think for
Yeah.
our community something like that is incredible, and if we can have tangible impact through all our different hubs, I think it'll be insane, it'll be magical.
Absolutely. That's amazing idea. So this is open to anybody in the world, just
It
folks in the
is,
US.
it
Okay.
is,
All right. I mean, there's a website. I guess people can take a look on those
of course.
more specifics and all that. Um, so yeah, that's amazing. And 14 hubs. I mean, don't have time to go over everything, but but that's entrepreneurship is something I'm also very passionate about. And entrepreneurs, I call it like I don't know, I call it, you can, like Steve Jobs, and to make a dent in this universe. And, is that's a kind of a mindset I believe on. And
Exactly.
together, we can definitely do so many things and can go so far.
Of course.
Yeah, and so regarding your one question, I'm really curious about is, I mean, a lot of people want to focus on like one thing, right? And seems like you are very diverse, and so my question is like, why, and is this something you really wanted to do, or?
Um, I think it's very intentional, and in my head, it's all
Right?
connected. And I, the way I, am working on this is I'm building. I think it's a nonprofit.
Okay.
but I'm building it like a startup, right? That's what I know. So and if you look at the speed of how I do things, it is more like a startup than a nonprofit, right?
Is it a 501c3?
It is.
Okay,
It
right.
is.
Okay.
And obviously, the impact is a big part of it. But there's some elements of the startup culture and way of doing things that I'm trying to really infuse in the organization, as well as how we do a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
I think traditionally, if you look at I'll just talk about Nepali organizations. We've all been very siloed, right? There's organizations that are location based, right? There's one in Boston, there's one in New Jersey, or they're association based on your industry, right? There's one for doctors, one for uh, real estate folks, there's one for techies, there's things like that, or there's things
Absolutely.
that are also based on your ethnicity, even within Nepal,
Mm-hmm.
right? uh, like, all have good intention, all are doing amazing. What I
Mm-hmm.
do think is that kind of siloed and fragmented way of our diaspora
Mm-hmm.
has sort of a few disadvantages as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because just as an example, if you look at entrepreneurship, right? What
Mm-hmm.
what do entrepreneurs need? They need capital, they need mentors and experts, and they need maybe market access, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, it's if we just look at separate entrepreneurs, technical people, techies can be incredible resources for these entrepreneurs, right? Doctors, lawyers, they are high net worth individuals that could fund a lot of ideas, not just startups, but ideas, right? And then PhDs could actually take a leap into entrepreneurship. Like, you're a doctor and you took that leap into entrepreneurship, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we want to also normalize these kind of things. That it is fine to sort of, it's not just fine, it's amazing to actually have that cross pollination of ideas. It's okay to have side hustles that become your full-time gigs, and it's okay to sort of not just be really really focused, but really have that open-minded thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what I'm building, it looks very sort of a lot, but I think the goal is the same, right? I think if we have that's the beauty of diversity, right? If we have
Mm-hmm.
diverse people around a table or in a community, it makes all of us better. It doesn't, the way we think, the way we do things is going to be so much richer, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the hope as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. The diversity is the key, and not only so I'm like personally open to like all diversity, including cross country, gender,
Exactly.
everybody in this world has something to give,
Of
you
course.
know. Yeah, so that's powerful, and I really appreciate what you have done, and I'm sure that there's gonna be such a huge impact to the whole world and humanity.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. That's amazing. So talking about, like, now we talk about success. I want to go to struggles, and you probably, I mean, we all see only success all the time,
Of course.
and I want to hear more about your challenges and your what frustrates you, in terms of building the this massive mission you have.
Um, I think I'm a little, I mean, inherently positive, especially in terms of this.
Hmm.
I think you have to be a little bit optimistic to try to do
Absolutely.
something like this, right? It is something that doesn't really have a blueprint, something that needs a lot of behavior change from all of us,
Yep.
and it's tough, basically, right? But
Yeah.
I think that sort of hopeful, optimistic nature sort of is needed, and I'm hoping I have that. Some things, I mean, that frustrate me more than anything else is, really accountability on both ends, right?
Hmm.
Where how do we infuse that culture, or infuse that understanding in people, that yes, you the community, you can use the community, you can gain from it, you can, there's people, mentors and, experts and all of those things, right? There's amazing things that you can gain from the community, and that's what we want. But you also need
Mm-hmm.
to pull the community along.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it feels, very one-sided, right? And it's we're obviously changing that. You can see that people, are slowly understanding that need to not just ask but give.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that's
Yes.
something that is so needed, because the first question a lot of people will I ask is, okay, what do I get, right? I think,
Yeah.
which is true, which is, we need to do that. We can't be
It's a human nature.
it is human nature, and we need to figure
Yeah.
that out, right? But
Yeah.
also, I think, what I'm hoping is, our community learns to say, okay, I can give this, right? And it doesn't have to be just money. I can give my time, I can give, my skill sets, I can do this, right? But just how do we sort of be more, uh, you know, be better at that? One is that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And two, I think just in general, moving into this sort of landscape has, I'm learning a lot. It's again not something that I had planned way in advance. It's something that, in a way, I stumbled into, and I'm just,
Mm-hmm.
building this in public, right?
Mm-hmm.
What sort of amazes me is also this philanthropic nature of our
Mm-hmm.
community, right? There's so
Mm-hmm.
much education also needed in terms of that, where sometimes you see people would give thousands of dollars for something that is,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just their picture on a website,
Mm-hmm.
right? People want
Right.
that name and that, recognition, but, we're still, as a community, we're still a little hesitant to invest in things that maybe, lead to workforce development, lead to upliftment our community, right? So, not saying that I obviously I'm very practical. I don't think, this is supposed to be easy. I don't think people should be just throwing money, and it needs obviously a lot of work on my end and for the community. But sometimes it's just a little, disappointing, right? That it what sort of are people ranking different things. It sort of is
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess every day is a challenge in any company, right? And I think the biggest thing is like, how do you get up? And and once you fail, and a lot of people give up, right? As long as you don't give up, and that's what my
Exactly.
persistent is the key. And I think
Exactly. Persistency and consistency are so important.
absolutely, absolutely. So, what is your message? My wife wanted to ask you this, and I wanted to bring this over. The question is, what is your message for Nepalis living abroad? I mean, not only U.S. and we have London, Australia, whatever, right? How can they contribute to this community? What are the steps?
I mean, the first step I say is always, join us. I mean, and joining means just, attend an event, virtual or in person.
Okay,
Come with an open mind, just,
okay.
explore, right? I think that's my advice in general to people, right? Sometimes we're so hesitant to try new things. And, when you think about the Great Nepali Diaspora, of course, it seems very specific, but it's for a reason, right? We want it to be a safe space for global Nepalis to, to explore, your professional identity. We want to help you succeed, but also
Hmm.
retain some version of what Nepali means, right? Some version of it, your version of it, right? So it's more than anything else. Of course, we can talk about the benefits of networking and all of that, but more than anything else, I think I'm building a safe space for all of us,
Hmm.
right? So my request to all of everybody is, more than anything else, just give it a shot. If there's some event happening in your area, or there's a virtual event, we did like 85 in a year, right? So there's a lot happening everywhere in the world. So just, give it a shot more than
Is
anything.
there is there any criteria to join, or just anybody can join? And
Anybody can join, and
okay.
a lot of the virtual events are open to people everywhere, right? Even we've done a lot of events for people in Nepal as well. So there's a lot happening. happening. So one is that just, in terms of TGND,
Yeah.
I want people to at least try it, right? And say what they like, what they don't like. Help me shape this, right? It's just an idea
Mm-hmm.
that I have. It's obviously the traction has been incredible in a year. It's amazing, but I need
Yep.
everybody to sort of help contribute, right? How can we make this better? How can we really add value to each other?
Yep.
One is that. And I think the next advice for everybody is just, I think you need to advocate for yourself. You need to be out there, right? Especially whatever you're doing in life. I think it's so important
Yeah.
to do that.
Share your knowledge.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, and this all is basically anybody can join any membership fee or anything like that, or
At this point, we don't have any membership fee, but we're sort of in terms of, again, making that organization sustainable and so on. So memberships is something we're looking at apart from, grants and donations. So
yeah. I was just thinking. I mean, I'm in a lot of mastermind group, and I have a couple of ideas we can talk more and in the back
definitely.
end, but we'll there's a lot of things we can do, just by going to amazing location, that would be like
Exactly.
vacation plus why not making impact, right? So
Exactly.
so we'll
Exactly.
talk more about that. um I'm almost towards the end of the show right now, but I want to ask you a couple of quick questions. Like,
Sure.
I mean, it's a dream big and think different, and I want to know what's your dream this year, and then what's your long term vision on this.
Um, I guess in terms of personal life, it's pretty simple. At this point, I just want a simple life, but one that has
Mhm.
purpose, right? I
Sure.
realize I'm happier working, but I'm also happier working where there is some purpose, right? It sounds so cheesy,
Yeah.
but it's important, right? And purpose is something that it's personal, right? People, you get to define what that means, but I
Yes.
think that's super important for me. Professionally, somebody recently was joking that they think that I'm the node of our diaspora, right? Nice compliment. But what I'm hoping is, I can make the Great Nepali Diaspora into the nervous system of our community, right? I think
Hmm.
really, and that's the whole point of being that, broad focus and have all these hubs and everything, that it actually is like the nervous system of our body, and really be connected to all people, right? Really look at what are the needs of our people, where can we sort of contribute, who can do what, and it's all one connected world, right? So
Absolutely.
that's my big audacious dream. I think it's it's very fluid and it's changing and scary at times, but I think it's so exciting, so I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Absolutely. We all are connected somehow, right? And I believe on totally on that. So absolutely. So my other question is, this is my second question, second last question. Uh, so what is the biggest win in your life and how you define success?
um I think I'm already one at life. It's going to sound
Mhm.
really arrogant, but I really think so, right? What I mean is, growing up in Nepal, a middle class family, I could never have imagined that this is the life I would lead, right? I would go on to study at Yale. I would live in countries like Singapore, Canada, and US, and
Yeah,
get to do all this. Like, it sounds like an adventure, right? I mean, there's obviously been
absolutely.
tough points on that, but overall, like this, like nobody, like I would never have believed somebody if somebody had said, oh, this is going to be your life. I would
Mhm.
never have imagined. So um I think that's incredible, and I think also, sometimes it's true with everybody's family, but I think my family gets the worst side of me, right? They see
Yeah,
the not so glamorous sides of entrepreneurship. They see the anxiety and the stress and the frustration and even the tears. But I think, uh, as cliched as it sounds, just the fact that I have that unconditional love means I'm successful anyways, right? I'm Everything else is a bonus. I have that threshold done. So, I think that also gives me a lot of confidence that, there's just going up from there, right? Um, but in terms of success, what I do see is a lot of people my age or older saying, "Oh, I wish I had done that," right? I wish I had, moved to Nepal, or I wish I had done sort of taken this path, or I wish I had, tried this, and so on, right? Um, for me, I think, whatever this is, right? Whatever the Great Nepali Diaspora is, and whatever I'm putting it into, I feel like I'm grateful that I took that leap and I'm figuring that out, right? So, you know, one, I won't make this a failure. I know that for sure, right? I'm putting in so much work that I definitely won't let it be a failure. But either way, I think just the fact that I tried something that I really had a, strong like feeling about means that I won't regret it, right? I won't, 10 years
Absolutely.
down the road, I won't say, oh, guess what? I should have, that was a good idea. I should have, built diaspora. I actually am building the diaspora. So
Absolutely.
that's success,
Totally agree. And I like that regret minimization. That's a theory I heard
right?
from Jeff Bezos. Like, you don't want
Yeah,
to tell, like, when you're 80, you haven't done this. So I
right.
really think, like, this is amazing. And, I would love to be part of it by anyhow, like, I can
Of course,
contribute,
I'd love that.
and absolutely. My last question for today,
Oh.
towards the end, so simple, like, where people can find you, and what is the one message you can give to the listener?
Sure. So one, I think LinkedIn is the best place to find me. I think I use it as my personal professional journal. So you'll see a lot
Hmm.
of my thoughts, unfiltered in so many ways in terms of what I'm doing. And especially because I am building this in public. So I'm really, I guess, I do share a lot in terms of the good and the bad and everything that I'm.
Absolutely. And LinkedIn is you meet a lot of good people.
Of course, right? It's a great filter as well, right? In terms of, versus other social media channels, especially
I
in terms
agree.
of, building that brand for yourself and, what you're building. That's super important. I think be yourself, right?
Hmm.
Which again is so cliched, but whether it's on social media or what you're doing, just finding your sort of metric of success or your sort of definition of authenticity and so on, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes when we talk, when impact, we're sort of these, when, so, social entrepreneurs or impact driven people, like me, we're talking, we're not sort of, I'm not discounting people that are just have a focused life, right? That became doctors and just, or professionals, spent 20 years in the same industry, just in the same town and all of it, right? That's completely fine, right? But, I think, or whatever you're doing, or there's a bunch of us that are trying different things, right? I think now is the time to own it, right? Own whatever you are, right? The messy,
Absolutely.
flawed, and amazing side of ourselves, and just, showcase it to the world.
Thank you. Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah, be authentic, guys. I really think, being yourself is the key. We all are unique in our nature, and that's our strength. And really appreciate your sharing that wisdom. And
No.
I hope everyone listening have enjoyed this show. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Whoever, please subscribe, share to your family, and learn. And thank you so much. And see you next time.
Thank you, Sachin. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Dream Big and Think Different. We hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe to our show so you don't miss any gold nuggets. And we'd appreciate it if you could rate and leave us a review on iTunes, Spotify, and other platforms. Until next time.